Welcome back. We are continuing our SEL series with a focus on social awareness. Social awareness is not an isolated focus. After establishing solid self-awareness, self-management, and calming strategies, students are better equipped to begin understanding how to work with others. Once students understand themselves, it is much easier to help them interact and relate to others. Let's take a look at how social awareness can impact the classroom. So we're going to continue our SEL series focusing in on social awareness. So we'll have our overview and our purpose, our key traits, strategies, benefits, examples, and keys to remember we'll close out with. So one thing we want to reiterate is that social awareness comes after helping students understand their self-awareness and self-management strategies. Because once I can handle myself as an individual, now I'm ready to be part of the collective. If I force social awareness prior to, the self-awareness and the self-management, it could become problematic because the individual students don't know how to handle themselves, let alone how to deal with, interacting with others. So it's very key that we keep this process in mind. So with that being said, what is social awareness? It's the understanding of the perspective of others. It's showing the empathy and compassion to others, respecting diversity and cultural differences, recognizing social cues and emotions, and building positive interactions within a community. And in this case, we're talking about the classroom or school community. So what's the purpose? There are multiple purposes of social awareness, and there are multiple benefits when you look at this list, right? So we create respectful classroom environments. We encourage empathy and kindness. We reduce bullying and conflict. We strengthen collaboration and teamwork, and we prepare students for citizenship and leadership. So as you can see, the purpose of social awareness clearly aligns with what we're trying to do in the classroom. We want to have respectful classroom environments. We want students to have empathy and kindness. We want to reduce bullying and conflict. And we can't do that simply by focusing on arithmetic or simply using basic classroom management skills. No, we have to help students take ownership of this because there are more students than there are teachers, right? So the more we can help them self-regulate, the better off it is for the school community and the classroom environment. So what are some of the key traits? Empathy is a big one, respect for others, active listening, perspective taking, cultural awareness, and positive peer interaction. And as an educator, I can look at this list of key traits and say, hey, you know what? For a week, we're going to focus on empathy. Next week, we're going to show respect for others. Or I look at this list and say, hey, based on my student population, which one do we need to target first? And then I go in the order of, importance for my particular population group. How you approach these key traits is totally up to you. You have the autonomy to do it. Social awareness in the classroom, what does it look like? It looks like listening respectfully to others, including others during activities. So again, including others during activities, you resolve disagreements peacefully, you promote collaborative learning, and you celebrate diverse backgrounds, right? So this is what it can look like in the classroom. And again, this shows the importance of that self-awareness and that self-management, because in order to listen respectfully to classmates, I have to understand myself and use the strategies of self-management in order to do so. Even going to resolving disagreements peacefully. If I'm not self-aware, if I don't have management skills, self-management skills, it's going to be very difficult to resolve disagreements peacefully. But these are things that we have to teach once that foundation is set, okay? So important considerations. Students come from different cultural backgrounds, not better backgrounds, not worse backgrounds, just different. Not everybody comes from the same country. Not everybody was born and raised in the United States. Not everybody is a Christian. Not everybody is a Muslim. There are religious differences. There are socioeconomic differences. There are family structure differences. So having an understanding that this diversity in cultural backgrounds is just a difference rather than a good or a bad thing, it has to be acknowledged, right? Trauma affects social interaction. This is a consideration. I have to ensure that the students I know that have traumatic experiences, they have an understanding of it. They have means of self-managing those traumatic triggers, because before I put them in, or force them to, interact with other people, I have to make sure that they're solid on their own. And then I can teach them how to, interact with others. Social skills require explicit instruction. We can't just assume, they'll figure it out. No, that's kind of the problem, right? So we have to teach them specifically how to interact socially. And then consistency and modeling are essential. So we don't just introduce this in September, social awareness is important, and then we don't talk about it again. No, we have to be consistent. We talked about ways to embed it in our lessons as a consistent part of our lessons, and modeling. As educators, we have to model social awareness as well. So what are some strategies for building social awareness? We can do morning meetings and check-ins, peer mentoring, perspective taking discussions, community service projects, conflict resolution lessons. So you can use 1, 2, a combination, mix and match, rotating. It doesn't matter as far as what strategies you use. You want to identify your population and pick the strategies that best suit their needs. So here's some empathy building activities. You can use emotional charades, perspective journaling, kindness challenges, reflection discussions. Again, identify your student population, what are their needs, and which one of these strategies may be of benefit for them. And you can combine, like I said, and mix and match. So what are the benefits? For the teacher, you have improved classroom culture, fewer behavior disruptions because students know how to work together. They are aware, stronger teacher-student relationships. They know it's not just about my math scores or my reading scores. And then you have better collaboration among students. Now when you put students together, they already have a set of strategies to work with each other rather than just putting them together and seeing what happens. For students, they have a greater sense of empathy. They have better communication skills. Their teamwork abilities escalate, and their conflict resolution skills improve, simply by teaching them social awareness strategies and approaches. You foster this sense of community where we're different, but we're all one community in this classroom and ultimately in the school. And what are the school benefits? You have an improved school climate, reduced bullying incidents, greater student connectedness, and enhanced collaboration across classrooms. So ultimately, there is an impact on academic achievement. So when students are socially aware, first they are self-aware, they are self-managed, and now they are socially aware, so they know how to manage themselves independently, and they know how to manage themselves in a group. You have improved academic performance. I'm not dealing with all the drama and the fluff of conflict because it's reduced, right? I have better attendance. Maybe I don't come to school because I'm tired of being put in group activities and they give me the same people every time. I don't like those people. My teacher knows I don't like those people, blah, 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 so and so. Well, if I teach social awareness, that student learns strategies for dealing with their colleagues and their peers. And so now they don't have that hesitation for coming to school, right? Increased engagement, and students learn better when respected and connected. If they feel connected and valued within that classroom, within that school, they learn better because they don't have this worry of or angst about people respecting or even recognizing them. So here's some classroom examples. Again, as always with the examples, they are interchangeable, but I kind of broke them down. Elementary, sharing circles, kindness jars, cooperative games, buddy partnerships. Then we go to middle school, perspective taking debates, peer mediation programs, social scenario role playing, community service projects. And then when we get to the higher levels, you can use any combination of the lower levels plus Socratic seminars, leadership groups, mentoring younger students, collaborative research projects. And that mentoring younger students is something I want to highlight, because when you teach older students self-awareness, self-management, and then put them in a role of mentoring, let's say the elementary group, you will be surprised at how great of an example they can be, because they feel the need to share, their understanding and help the younger generation. It works rather nicely. So supporting diversity and inclusion. We know that there are differences among students. We know that we have different students from different backgrounds. So we want to make sure that students understand how to, support and remain open to diversity and inclusion. So we celebrate diverse perspectives, use culturally responsive teaching. So when we're talking about specific texts or looking at information, we want to make sure that we acknowledge the cultural differences, remove any remove any biases or stigmas or maybe stereotypes. We want to address those, promote inclusive language, and ensure all students feel valued. So what are some common challenges? And we have some possible solutions. So peer pressure, right? If we're fostering inclusion, if negative peer pressure is an issue and we foster inclusion, now that peer pressure isn't as powerful, if you will, in a negative manner, because everybody feels included. So there's no need to pick on anybody else or anything like that. Social conflicts. We need to blatantly teach communication skills, right? We can't assume that, students can talk it out, they'll figure it out. Not really. We need to teach them explicitly how to communicate and resolve conflicts. Lack of empathy skills, then we need to teach empathy skills. Technology, social media conflicts. We need to have digital citizenship programs. A lot of times students are just given technology without any parameters or expectations for how that technology should be used, what's proper etiquette, and so forth. But digital citizenship programs, walking them through the various digital citizenship programs, can help with understanding how to operate technology and what's appropriate social media behavior. So what are some keys to remember? Social awareness must be taught intentionally, right? Relationships drive learning, inclusive classrooms improve achievement, and small daily practices create lasting impact. Just like your academic subjects, these social emotional lessons and skills need to be taught on a consistent basis. If we want them to improve academically, we make sure that we give them repetition of math and reading and science and all of that. Well, if we want them to improve as individuals, we need to teach them their social emotional learning skills. So just reflect for a second. You can put it in the chat, or you can just internally reflect. How do you currently teach empathy? Okay, that's a question that only you can answer. What strategies encourage inclusion? And then how can students practice perspective taking daily? How can you incorporate these things that we talked about into your daily lessons without being overwhelmed and without worrying about, wasting time, if you will? Because you can consider it wasting time by, I'm gonna focus on this SEL stuff and now I'm not focused on the academics. But if you focus on the academics without the SEL, you're kind of spinning your wheels and you're gonna get the same results you've been getting, which according to national stats is not very good, right? So we need to do something different, reflecting on how we can implement SEL, social awareness, self-awareness, and self-management are keys to this progress. Thank you. So we hope that was helpful. Remember, social awareness is the application of self-awareness and self-management. Students that are aware of themselves are better suited to engage positively with others. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.